Welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about meditation, but specifically applying meditation to decision making to really exercise discernment and intuition. I will, of course, give just some basic introduction tips to meditation, but primarily I want to focus on how do you use this to know what is aligned and true for you in a very confusing world full of subject matter experts and contradicting opinions. It's very central actually to my theme of my videos. They all seem to go into that self-trust, discernment, decision making, because it was something that I've struggled with so much, like for years and years and years. A large part of my life, I didn't even really recognize that that was something that I struggled with. And even when I became aware that it was a problem, I still didn't know what to do about it. Especially if you've had a very tumultuous upbringing, if you were brought up in a place that wouldn't describe it as peaceful. If it was peaceful, it was very fleeting moments of peace, but it was mainly dominated by either chaos or just a lot of tension, even violence, then that has been ingrained in you at some level. And it's hard to know, especially in times of crisis or times that feel like a crisis, even if they're not to you, they feel like a crisis. It's definitely hard to manage and face that situation with dignity, poise, grace, a clear mind. It's a difficult thing to do if you don't even have a North Star or an idea of what it is that you're embodying. And so sometimes when we talk about meditation, very common sentiment that I receive is, oh my gosh, I love to meditate, but I can't do it. My mind doesn't sit still. You don't get into meditation because you already have mastery over your thoughts and at will can just stop thinking. In general, as a human species in the human condition of scrolling and social media, it's not something that is natural born talent. So it's precisely the people who say, this is like way too difficult for me, I can't still my mind, that would benefit the most from a practice like this. Quick disclaimer, I can't say exactly what I do. I've done different things over the years. I can't give my exact formula because I am following a program. I am a part of a fellowship and I have not been authorized to teach their method. And out of respect for this discipline, I won't share the specifics. I am going to share just general meditation things that I've done over the years, and things that are going to be beneficial. It doesn't have to be this exact formula. So the first is, I noticed that in my life, the times that I get serious, I've always, like, for years have been like, yeah, I should meditate. Yeah, I should meditate. When I actually started to do it consistently is when I dedicated an area. So I went onto Amazon and I purchased a meditation, a cushion that has like a larger cushion underneath. I'll try to find the link and I'll post it below for exactly what kind of setup I have, but just Google meditation cushion. You could probably go to like a home goods store and find a large cushion that will work. If you meditate laying down, you might fall asleep and then it's good for sleep. You know, you might want to try that before bed, but to actually do the practice and to get more serious about meditating, you probably want an area where you can sit crisscross. Don't worry about doing full lotus. You can do half lotus, which is when one of your feet is turned upwards and the other one is not. You could try half lotus, or you could just do crisscross is fine. You could also just sit on your chair with sit firmly on the chair with your legs just normally down. All right, so those are the first couple of tips that I would recommend. If you do yoga or any kind of exercise, I would recommend meditating after, because the exercise could potentially help you to focus your mind and to still your mind, because you've just released a lot of energy that can sometimes interfere when you're full of energy. Like, trying to meditate when you have been already sitting all day could be more difficult. So go to yoga and then come home and meditate. It would be the ideal order of things that I would recommend. The other thing is that I would set a timer, because otherwise you're just going to be thinking, I have to get to work, I have to go to bed by a certain time, and you're going to be worried about how long you've been in meditation. If you set a timer, you can release that worry. That again is allowing you to let go. Set yourself up in an environment and the circumstances that would put you at a better chance of being able to just mentally let go. And then the next tip is to start to build up time. Literally, for your very first time ever attempting meditation, I recommend that you start with a minute. I think something that a lot of people get wrong that discourages is that we want to tackle meditation like if it were some kind of other thing that we try to just like wrestle in life. You can't wrestle meditation. In fact, the more that you're like efforting, the further you're getting because it's more tension, and that's the opposite of what you're doing here. So I recommend not overdoing it. If you're trying to meditate for the first time ever of your life at 30 minutes, that's a lot. You're not going to enjoy the experience, and it's not going to, you do what you want, but I would recommend do 1 minute and tell yourself for this first minute, I'm going to do nothing but breathe. The main thing is just to start noticing. You're going to take a few clearing breaths. Start with just taking maybe 3 deep breaths, and you can do a 4 square breathing if you'd like. We breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4, hold for 4. You could do a few rounds of 4 square breathing. You could just take deep breaths. So you pick whatever breathing to get you oriented. Just a few rounds is fine. And then try not thinking about anything. You're just there. You're not thinking, you're just there. Don't try to control your breathing anymore. If thoughts come in, you notice that the thought is out, you let it drift and you come back. Keep coming back to just being. Sometimes a thought comes in and we follow the thought and we don't realize that we followed the thought. But the moment that you become conscious, oh, I'm supposed to be meditating, then you release the thought and you come back. You don't have to make a story about it. You don't have to judge yourself. It's not bad. You just come back. And you keep doing that over and over. And it doesn't matter if it happens within seconds. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I was thinking, clear it. And then like half a second later, I'm thinking again, clear it, keep clearing it. What you don't want to do is for thoughts to come in, stories to come in, and to become aware, and then you persist on thinking because you're strengthening now the thinking facility. Just let it go. I have heard Eckhart recommend to have a notepad and a pen next to you so that if you think of something and you're worried you're going to forget, like, oh, I need to cancel the dentist appointment, you could grab the pen real quick, jot it down, cancel dentist, and then go back to your meditation. So that you could do at the very beginning when you're starting. Something that I do now when stuff like that happens, when I have a thought come in that seems like it's important if I don't remember it, is I started playing with telling my own brain and my own mind, whoever my personal mind secretary is, I'll tell them, remind me when I'm out of meditation to cancel this thing or to do this thing or to sign up for whatever. I just tell myself, remind me to do it. Like I'll go back to my meditation. I trust so much that I will be reminded. And if ever there's been a time that I thought of something and I said, okay, pretend secretary, remind me later. My pretend secretary is just God or consciousness, right? If there's ever been a time that my secretary didn't remind me, I don't know. I just forgot about it. To this day, I forgot about it, and I'm fine. Okay? Life went on. Things are fine. My life is good. So sometimes we convince ourselves that things are like more detrimental or not even detrimental, but like more gravity or weight to something that it might, because whatever I don't know at this point, what hasn't come into my consciousness, what I was supposed to do, didn't do, it's fine. I'm good. So that is a tricky little game that you could try playing with yourself. But honestly, so many times I've had it that I do get reminded. I'm like, oh yeah, I need laundry detergent. And it just, it'll come back to me at the appropriate time when I'm not practicing meditation. So this is a really good way to build up trust because I'm starting to be in relationship and play this game with the world that I really firmly believe that in the moment that I am in the place where I most need to know something, the information comes to me. And it's cultivating a nice relaxation into life when you start playing a game like this of like, when the moment comes, I will know. This is a little bit more advanced, but we're starting with just 1 minute. 1 minute, and you're nothing in the world is more important in this minute than to just practice meditation, to practice bringing my awareness back into just being as a priority. And then work up you could do it the very next day, and now I'm going to do 2 minutes, now I'm going to do 3 minutes, now 4, and now 5. I would not recommend, you can do guided meditations, but not for what I'm suggesting. You can do a guided meditation in addition to what I'm talking about. So once you've had your 1 minute of complete just awareness, later on in the day, if you want to do a guided meditation before bed, it's a new moon and you want to do visualization, go for it. I'm not saying never do guided meditations. I'm just saying that for what I'm talking about, decision making, discernment, self-trust, even if it's just a minute of complete pure awareness, that's where you start. All right, next. Think of it as a calm Zen bank account. And every time you do a minute, you're making a deposit into this savings account. Because ideally, and the reason that Eckhart Tolle, for example, doesn't prescribe meditation, he prefers active meditation, which is like in motion. As I pick up my mug, as I take a sip, I'm in present awareness. The reason for that is that we tend to compartmentalize sometimes what we do. So for that minute, all your focus is on Zen, on peace, on clearing the mind, on being still. Then you get out into the world and all of that goes out the window. In fact, you can count on it at the very beginning. That's in even advanced. It'll still happen. How do you make sure that you're integrated? Think of it as this savings account that you're contributing to. When you start to really get familiar with that space of stillness, that space of presence, that space of expansion, it feels kind of blissful just because there's nothing going on. And that, in comparison to our chaotic lives, feels really nice. That peace that you feel, that kind of a quiet contentment and a joy. You start to know what that feels like, and you start to enter that space for longer and longer amounts of time. So your account is growing and growing. What you can then do is that in life, you can pull on that experience. You can call to mind that feeling, that Zen feeling, and you can put it into place when you need it most. During times of stress, of tension, of being around very triggering people, whatever the case may be, you can then pull upon this Zen account that you've been building up. And you're countering the fact that in childhood, all you ever knew was disorder and chaos. And because when you were in times of crisis, the only thing that you could pull on is that account. Okay. Pretend that this is the only account you have. The only thing you know is, to explode, is to go off, is to become a nervous wreck, is to, start crying. And none of this is wrong. You haven't failed. Okay. You haven't failed. It's the only thing that you knew, that you were fed. But now you get to choose. And so now you've created a North Star of what to embody, and you're able to call on that reserve when you need it most because you've been practicing. You want to do these practices during times of relative peace in your life. If you do this during times of peace, because all of our lives, even if they tend to be very busy, we go through crisis and we go through calmer periods, all relative. We're in this like roller coaster all the time. So during the calmer times is when you need to be cultivating and building up that account. It's really hard to do during the time of acute crisis, but that is usually when we realize, or we can't deny anymore, how important this is, and how relying on outside things is not really working, is not long-term, is not sustainable, is not something enduring. Like being able to cultivate your own self-resourced source of deep well-being. There's no substitute for it. Decision-making time. So And the other thing too is like when I say add a minute, don't feel like you have to add a minute until you're getting to 3 hours unless you want to. You could add a minute until you get to, let's say, 10, and then you could do 10 minutes for a week. And then you could keep adding a minute until you get to 15 minutes, and then you could do 15 minutes for a week. I'm just saying gradually grow. Yes, okay. If you love it so much and you want to meditate for an hour or 2 or 3, you can absolutely do that. Totally do it. You know, like on a Sunday, instead of going to church, I'm going to meditate for an hour. Hell yeah. That's awesome. I do that. By the way, I am meditating at this point anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes over an hour. If I miss a day, I usually just miss morning or night. I don't hardly ever miss both of them. That's just what I'm doing, and that's fine. It works for me. I like it a lot. Okay. Now, let's see. Decision-making time. So you have a practice, and you know what calmness feels like for you. You have some choices to make. You have questions about life direction. Maybe you have an A and B scenario, or maybe it's way more open and you could do a number of things. What you would do is you go into meditation just like you would any other day, and you forget about your problem for that moment. You set it aside. You focus completely on just the awareness practice. And you can do this at any point, even if you've only been meditating for 5 minutes, that's fine. I think that you will reach answers a little bit more clearly once you've started to build up to maybe 15, 20 minutes, because you need some time to really go into surrendered awareness, where you're not at this very moment. When you do something like that, at the moment in time when you've surrendered, you don't have a problem. Okay, there's not a problem at this exact moment in time. In the future, there will be a problem. In the future, you'll have to make a choice. But right now, you're meditating and there's no problem at all. You're nothing but whole, because the secret is that when you get into that spaciousness, that's the space of meditation, you become infinity. There's no beginning, there's no end, there is no time. You're just existing and you're just aware. There's no problem, there's no duality, there's no me and something else. It's just being. As long as you can give a good faith effort into going totally into that space, you're going to start to feel kind of blissed out. Almost like being on drugs, but like not that crazy. It just feels really good. When you're feeling really good and really empty is when you're going to start speaking from your heart. Couple options here. This can look like affirmations. So you can affirm, think, or say out loud, I am the space of infinite potential, and my divine birthright is to be at ease and to be happy and to feel aligned. I am alignment itself. You can affirm these powerful phrases that put you in a more commanding position against whatever it is that you are up against. The reason that there's peace in my existence is because it's coming from me. I am the point from which peace emanates. I am the point from which clarity emanates. I am the path. And you can start saying these affirmations, because notice that you don't know at this point what your answer is. But what you do know is that you are totally capable, and it is your right, it is your birthright to know these answers. And it is well within your reach to know what to do. And it's yours already, because you are alignment itself in this space of nothingness. So you can start to affirm whatever feels good. The next thing, that's an option. Another option is that you just start speaking from your heart. And so from your heart space, you can say, I am so scared. It's like a prayer. And I know that triggers a lot of people, but when you have a relationship with God, you have this force that you're outpouring into and you're like decharging and you're using to reorient yourself. Okay, so prayer can sound triggering, but you're going to start speaking from your heart and you're going to say, I'm really scared. I feel like if I don't get this right, my whole life will be a shame. I will shame so many people. I will disgrace my family. I will disappoint. I will let down. And you can say, this is how I feel. And then you will appeal then and say the opposite of how you of what you want then to be in it. I want to feel capable. You know, I want to feel secure. I want to feel excited. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel worthy. I want to feel loved. I want to feel safe. I want whatever it is in your particular condition that is troubling you. So you're just going to start describing what's going on and what you want to happen, because again, you don't know what if you knew the answer, you wouldn't be in at the crossroads. So you just start speaking from your heart and you implore as much as you can. Open your heart and let out the weight of what this feels like to you. This feels so heavy. This feels impossible. And let it out and cry if you need to cry. You just let yourself cry. But don't stay there. Let it out and then immediately start talking about what it is that you need. What would help you in this moment? So you're starting to ask. Okay, you're going to start to ask for what would be helpful for you, what would be the opposite and the more empowering thing. After you do either one of those, either you affirm or you pray, or you can call it something else other than prayer if you prefer, you speak your heart, then you're going to have a few minutes of silence. So you're going to do just a few minutes of going back into calmness. You're going to re-regulate yourself. If you had just been crying, you just spoke and you conjured up all of these emotions, you're going to take a few deep breaths and you're going to remember again what peace feels like. And then here's the beautiful part. I recommend, you don't have to do it, but I recommend that second time after, when you start feeling calm again, you come back into awareness, you go back into that infinite space, and it would be really nice if what you did was take that feeling, pretend that feeling is like a little knot right here and it's getting bigger and the peace is building and the spaciousness is building and that infinite potential feeling is building, that well-being is building, that knowing that you are the path, that you are the timeless, you are the beginning, you are the end, and everything in between. Keep building it and building it. And in your imagination, your mind's eye, see this expanding to encompass your whole city, then your whole state, then the whole country, then the whole world, then see it keep growing and growing until it's the entire solar system, until it's the entire universe. And I like to say peace onto my world, peace onto my, as I'm going, peace onto me, peace onto my city, peace onto my state, peace onto my country, peace onto my world, peace onto my universe. And then sit in that universal state for a minute and feel that peace. You will feel that the whole universe is inside of you. You will feel that you are the energy that is encapsulating everything. That's how it feels, okay? And essentially, you've just done a prayer for peace, for world peace. And I truly believe that what you're giving out is what you're going to receive. And now you're doing something that is energetically benevolent and kind, for the world. What could expect to greet you and meet you but that same energy back? You don't have to do it, but the important part, I guess, to get your answer is to go back into the stillness afterwards, to kind of close out that imploration and that pouring out of your heart with stillness. Once you've sat in stillness for a couple of minutes and kind of closed everything up, you're done with your practice and you go about your day and you just pay attention, because either somebody else could answer it for you, or maybe your decision gets solved for you. Could have just a knowing, like all of a sudden you're like, it's so clear to me. I don't know why this was even a problem before. I don't know why I was going back and forth. Like, it could not be any clearer to me. The option is this. And when that happens to me, I tend to notice that the option is the thing that makes me feel all of those positive qualities. Because now that I talked it out, now that I said, I want to feel expansive, I want to feel supported, I want to be safe, whatever it is that I prayed about or I poured my heart out about, when I come out of it, I'm like, oh yeah, taking this job is what's going to make me feel that way, not that one. Why was this ever a question for me? The reason that it's a question for us and we doubt is that we're looking at things from a logical perspective. We're building a pros and cons list, and that's creating confusion. But if we're going just based off of pure energetics of what option would make us feel most like we just talked about wanting to feel, it gets so much clearer. It gets so much clearer, but we can distort things. It's like, man, every time I'm around so-and-so, I feel like crap. But everyone says that I'm supposed to get along with Scorpios. I'm supposed to get along with Scorpios. Everyone keeps telling me that to be on the lookout for Scorpios because those are my people. But man, every time I'm around the Scorpio, I feel like crap. And so we're confusing ourselves because we're not just fully trusting that the feeling is the gauge. Except for when you go into meditation and you get clear and you speak, I want to feel supported when I'm around people. I want to feel appreciated. Once you start not only talking about those qualities, but feeling what they feel like in your body, just on your own, like what it would feel like to be supported and appreciated, then next time you're in front of that person, you know very clearly, not you. Don't care who told me what. Don't care that the psychic tarot reader said that's your Scorpio, because I know it's not, because I can feel that you're not that person. Same thing with the place. You know, like this place that I'm thinking about moving to, I went to go visit and I didn't feel what I thought I was going to feel. And so you start to live life according to that. What's confusing us is other people's opinions, is like that logical pros and cons and all of this. And you're just clearing all of that out because you know very deeply what it feels like to be in alignment, because you practice it every single day. And then you can do it again. Like if you did this prayer and nothing came to you, no answers have come, nothing has solved itself, you could do it again. And especially when it's a really big decision that's going to impact maybe not just you, but your children, or to the level of impact, you might want to do it a few times anyway, even if you get an answer, just to confirm. And it's okay. Don't think for a second that that means that you're ungrateful, that you don't trust, because one thing about that space of infinity is that it's also infinitely patient. There's no judgment. You will not be faulted. There's no horrible critic that's like just waiting for you to be like, see, ungrateful, I gave you the answer and you're back again asking. That's not the case. You ask, you'll be given the answer. You ask again, you'll be given the answer. There's nothing but patience and love waiting for you in the still space. Once you get past being afraid of it. This makes me think that I need to make another video about how to get past being afraid of it. But for right now, don't worry about it. Just start doing a minute and clearing your mind. Start building up a little bit of a peace bank account, or savings account, whatever. And become rich. This is all I have. Thank you guys. Bye.